Hiber-Nation 21. Grizzlies Growls presents Stories from a Hiber-Nation. A handy guide for beggars, especially those of the poetic fraternity, by Vachel Lindsay. Part 2. A Mendicant Pilgrimage in the East. What the sexton said. Your dust will be upon the wind within some certain years, though you be sealed in lead today amid the country's tears. When this idyllic churchyard becomes the heart of town, the place to build a garage or inn, they'll throw your tombstone down. Your name so dim, so long outworn, your bones so near to earth, your sturdy kindred dead and gone, how should men know your worth? So read upon the runic moon man's epitaph, deep writ. It says the world is one great grave, for names it cares no whit. It tells the folk to live in peace, and still in peace to die. At least so speaks the moon to me, the tombstone of the sky. Death, the Devil, and Human Kindness, being the shred of an allegory. Part 1. The Undertaker. Curious are the agencies that throw the true believer into the occult state. Convalescence may do it. Acts of piety may do it. Self-mortification may do it. After reading my evening sermon in rhyme in the house of a stranger, I had slept on the lounge in the parlor. The lounge had lost some of its excelsior, and the springs wound their way upwards like steel serpents. So strenuous had been the day, I could have slumbered peacefully on a Hindu bed of spikes. I woke refreshed, despite several honorable scars. What is more important, I left that house with faculties of discernment. I did not realize at first that I was particularly spiritualized. I was merely walking west, hoping to take in Oil City on my route. Yet I saw straight through the bark of a big maple and beheld the loveliest... But I have not time to tell. Well, then I heard the fluttering in a patch of tall weeds and discovered what the people in fairyland call... But no matter, we must hurry on. Well, at noon, your servant was on the front step of a store near a crossroads called Cranberry, Pennsylvania. The store was on the south side of the way by which I had come. I sat looking along wagon tracks heading north, little suspecting I should take that route soon. On one side overhead was the sign, Fred James, Undertaker, and on the other, Fred James, grocer. And so, I thought, I am going to meet face to face one of the eternal powers. He may call himself Fred James all he pleases. His real name is Death. I met the Lady Life once upon a time long ago. She had innocent blue eyes. Alone in the field, I felt free to kiss the palm of her little hand under the shadow of the corn. It has nothing to do with the tale, but let us here reflect how the cornstalk is a proud thing, how it flourishes its dangerous blades, guarding the young ear. It will cut you on the forehead if the wind is high. Above the blades is the sacred tassel, like a flame. Once, under that tassel, under those dangerous blades, I met Life, and for good reason bade her good-bye. After her solemn words of parting, she called me back, and mischievously fed me from the pocket of her gingham apron crab-apples and cranberries. Ever since that time those fruits have been bitter delights to my superstitious fancy. And here I was at Cranberry Crossroads, with a funeral director's sign over my head. A long 5 minutes I meditated on the mystery of life and death and cranberries. A fat chicken, apparently meditating on the same mystery, kept walking up and down, catching gnats. At length it was revealed to me that when things have their proper rhythm, life and death are interwoven, like willows plaited for a basket. Somewhat later in the afternoon I speculated that when times are out of joint, it is because death reigns without life for a partner, with the assistance of the devil, rather. But do not remember this. It anticipates the plot. One does not hasten into the presence of the undertaker. One rather waits. He was coming. I did not look around. Even at noon he cast a considerable shadow. The shadow dwindled as he sat on the same step, and asked, "What road have you come?" His non-partisan drawl was the result, we'll suppose, of not knowing which side of the store the new customer approached. "I came from over there. I've been walking since sunrise." He had some account of my adventures and my point of view as a religious mendicant. I knew I would have to ask the further road of him, but I disliked the necessity. He waited patiently while I watched my friend, the fat chicken, explore an empty, dirty, bottomless basket for flies. "I want to go west by way of Oil City," I finally said. He answered, "Well, Oil City is reached by the north road, straight in front of you as you sit. It's about an hour's walk to the edge of it. It is sort of a trap in the mountains. When you get inside of it, keep on going down." This he said very solemnly. He put his hand on my shoulder. "Come in and rest and eat first. Won't cost you a cent." Well, I was hungry enough to eat a coffin handle, and so I looked at him and extended my hand. He was a handsome chap with a gray mustache. His black coat was buttoned high. He was extra neat for a country merchant, and chewed his tobacco surreptitiously. His face was not so bony and stern as you might think. I gave him an odd copy of The Tree of Laughing Bells, still remaining by me. He looked at the outside long, doing the cover more than justice. Then he opened it, with a certain air of delicate appreciation. I urged him to postpone reading the thing till I was gone. His store was high and long and narrow and cool. There was a counter to the west, a counter to the east. Behind the western one were tall coffin cupboards. As he proudly opened and shut them, one could not but notice the length of his fingers and their dexterity. He showed plain coffins and splendid coffins. He unscrewed the lid of one that I might see the silky cushions within. They looked easier than the last night's lounge. As he stepped across what might be called the international date line of the store and entered the hemisphere of groceries, he began to look as though he would indulge in a merry quip. A faint flush came to his white countenance that shone among the multicolored packages. Now before us were the supplies of a rural general store, from the kitchen mop to the blue parlor vase. Hanging from the ceiling was an array of the flamboyant, varnished posters of the seed men, with pictures of cut watermelons, blood red, and portraits of beets, cabbages, and pumpkins. I read his homemade sign aloud. "I guarantee every seed in the store. Pansy seed's a specialty." "Not that they all grow," he explained, "but the guarantee keeps up the confidence of the customers. I have made more off of vegetable and flower seeds this year than caskets." He pulled out a chip plate and fed me with dried beef, sliced thin. He smiled broadly, set down a jar. The merry quip had arrived. "Why," he asked, "is a stick of candy like a racehorse?" Well, I remained silent, but looked anxious to know. Delighted with himself, he gave the ancient answer, and with it several sticks of candy. Kind reader, if you do not know the answer to the riddle, ask your neighbor. There was no end of sweets. He skillfully sliced fresh bread and spread it with butter and thick honeycomb. With much self-approval, he insisted on crowding my pockets with supper. Well, nobody knows how they'll treat you around Oil City. I go often, but never for pleasure, only on funeral business. He gave me pocketfuls of the little animal crackers, so daintily cut out that used to delight all of us as children. Since he insisted I take something more, I took figs and dates. He held up an animal cracker shaped like a cow and asked, "When was beefsteak the highest?" I ventured to give the answer. "Death is not a bad fellow. Let no man cross his grave front stoop with misgiving. The honey he serves is made by noble bees. Yet do not go seeking him out. No doubt his acquaintance is most worthwhile when it is casual, unexpected, one of the natural accidents. And he does not always ask such simple riddles." Thanks for listening to Stories from the Hiber-Nation. Comment on the website at grizzly.libsyn.com. This program is sponsored by donations from people like you and is released with a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.